I'm going to do some examples of evaluating numerical expressions on the TI-84. This is from section 2.2 in the homework. And before I even do any example, I want to show something on the calculator in what's called the mode. So I clicked on mode, and you see the first thing up here is math print versus classic. You can, whoops, I guess you can toggle back and forth between them. I'm in classic mode. When I do these, it does make a difference what you see on the calculator, particularly when we get to the exponents and square roots. In some sense, it's just a matter of taste, but I'm going to be in classic mode, and if you want your calculator to be the same as mine, you should set it to classic mode. This choice may be farther down on the menu depending upon which version of the calculator you have, but I'm doing this in classic mode. So classic, second, quit to get out of there. And now let me look at some of the homework questions. So this one here, they say round the answers to 3 decimal places. So let me do, say, number 8 here. It says 62.8 minus 63 divided by 0.9. So on the calculator, if I go like this, now when I'm doing a fraction and there's more than one thing being added in the numerator, I'm going to start with a parentheses, 62.8, 62.8 minus 63, and I'm going to close off the parentheses for the numerator, and then that's being divided by 0.9. I don't like those zeros in front, 0.9, and when I hit enter, I get that and round it off to 3 decimal places. The correct answer would be negative 0.222. Now, I like to just do the rounding and the calculation all in one shot. I can use math, num, round, and put the same calculation inside there, parentheses 62.8 minus 63, close the parentheses, divided by 0.9. And now, to round it to 3 decimal places, comma, 3, close the parentheses. And when I hit enter, I just get the 3 decimal place rounding, which is the answer that they want. So I like to use that round thing when they want me to round a calculation. Similarly, if I take another one, this is number 12 here, where they have 2 numbers on the bottom and a single number on the top. I'm going to put a parentheses around the 2 numbers on the bottom. So to do number 12 on the calculator, I'm going to do the rounding thing. Math, num, round. And the calculation for the one I said, which was number 12, it says 15 divided by 15 plus 33. So the numerator doesn't need a parentheses because it's a single number. But the denominator, which is more than one number, needs a parentheses. 15 divided by 15 plus 33. Close off the parentheses, and to round it to 3 decimal places, comma, 3. Close the parentheses, and that gives me 0.313 rounded to 3 decimal places. Now sometimes they'll have more than one number in the top and the bottom, and you have to put a parentheses around both of them. That's happening, say, in number 16 here. So I'm going to do number 16, and I'm going to start with the round business. So if I go math, num, round, and this one, number 16, says, I'm going to start with a parentheses for the top. It says 25 times 60, 25 times 60, and then it says plus 30 times 71, 30 times 71, plus 35 times 14, 35 times 14. That's the end of the numerator, so I'm going to close it off with a parentheses. Divided by, and in the denominator it's more than one number, so I'm going to go with a parentheses again, 60 plus 71 plus 14. 60 plus 71 plus 14. Close off the parentheses for the denominator. And now to round this off to 3 places, comma, 3. Close the parentheses. And when the magic button is hit, 28.414 rounded to 3 decimal places. Now, they also do some calculations involving exponents and square roots here. So if I go back, let's scroll down a bit. Let me take, say, this one, 1 minus 1/2 squared. Now, how they want these rounded to 2 decimal places. So 1 minus 1 over 2 squared. Let me do that one. So it says they want 2 decimal places. I'll go math, num, round, and the question says 1 minus 1 divided by 2. And now to square a number, you see this button here, it says x squared. That'll just square that 2 in there. Close the parentheses. Whoops, nope, I want to go comma to round this to 2 decimal places, comma 2. Now close the parentheses, and I get 0.75 correct to 2 decimal places. Now sometimes you have to use an exponent other than 2. So for example, in say number 23, they have an exponent of, well, let me do an even numbered one. Here's number 26. They have an exponent of 4. So I want to go 0.49 to the 4th. They want me to round this to 2 places. So I'm going to go like this. Start it with math, num, round. And this one said 0.49 to the 4th power. So I'm putting 0.49. Now to raise a number to an exponent other than 2, this caret key that I'm pointing at is the exponent key, exponent 4. So that's going to raise 0.49 to the 4th power. I want to round this to 2 decimal places. And when I hit the magic button, I get 0.06 is the correct answer, rounded to 2 decimal places. Now, just to do an example where they string together some multiplying and dividing with exponents, an example number 30. Let's see, number 30, 1.65 squared times 0.25 divided by 0.05 squared. Again, 2 decimal places. So I'm going to go start, let me clear everything else out. So I'm going to start with math, num, round, and number 30, it said 1.65 squared. Now I'm just multiplying and dividing, so I don't really need a parentheses for this fraction. 1.65 squared, and this is being multiplied times 0.25 times 0.25, and it's being divided by 0.05 squared, 0.05 squared, and I want to round this to 2 decimal places, comma 2, and that comes out 272.25 to 2 decimal places. Now, in statistics, it's fairly common to have formulas that involve square roots. So I want to do a couple of examples involving square roots. Let me go down to here, say something like this, number 36 and number 38. These are typical calculations with square roots. So if I look at number 36, again, they want this rounded to 2 decimal places. I'm going to start out with math, num, round. Okay, and now I'm going to enter the calculation. Now 36 says 0.4, the square root of 0.46 times 0.54 divided by 79. So here's the square root key. See, there's the x squared key, and the square root is the blue thing right above that. So to access that, second, hit that, and that gives me the blue thing, and now I can enter the quantity whose square root I want to take. For number 36, it was 0.46. 0.46 times 0.54 divided by 79. Now notice that the square root started with a parentheses, and to close off the square root, I'm going to put a parentheses. That means that this entire quantity inside that parentheses is what we're taking the square root of. I want this rounded to 2 decimal places, comma, 2. Close the parentheses for the round, and when I hit enter, I get 0.06, correct to 2 decimal places. Now, one more common calculation with square roots in statistics would be like number 38. Let me do this, will be the last example I'll do here. So 38 says the square root of 125 times 0.4 times 1 minus 0.04. So on the calculator, again, I want 2 decimal places, math, num, round. And this one says the square root, so I'm going to access the square root. Second, above the x squared, there is the square root. Notice it automatically puts that parentheses in, so when I'm finished with the square root, I'll close off the parentheses. And this one said 125 times, 125 times 0.04, 0.04 times, and I'm going to parentheses around the 1 minus 0.04. So now I'm going to close off the parentheses for the 1 minus 0.04. I'm going to close off the parentheses for the square root. And then, because I want 2 places, comma, 2. And then I'm going to close off the parentheses for the round. Notice it's good technique. You should have an equal number of left parentheses and right parentheses in the calculation. Anyway, when I hit enter, I get an answer of 2.19 correct to 2 decimal places.